This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a UFO news update as I do cover the unidentified aerial phenomenon / unidentified flying object topic on this channel, as well as combat sports and the paranormal, as well as other topics. They had the first congressional hearing on UFOs in 50 years today in the US Congress, and I just finished watching it and I made some notes. So I'm just going to tell you the basic notes I took on it. Democratic Rep. Andre Carson of Indiana, who was the chair of the panel that was holding the hearing, gave a warning in his opening statement. He said, quote, "Unidentified aerial phenomena are a potential national security threat and they need to be treated that way," end quote. As far as what was discussed in the hearing, which had to do mostly with members of Congress questioning the United States UFO Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force questions, as well as some videos were shown. However, there did seem to be some technical problems with some of the videos, and they weren't necessarily shown in full, and some areas which potentially could have been shown in slow motion weren't. But basically, we're not aware of any adversary that can move an object without discernible means of propulsion. Some of the such as the way that these UAPs move, and some of them potentially have signature management that might help hide their means of propulsion, whatever that is. And apparently there have been some tests to try and recreate some of these objects to see if they could recreate how some of these are moving, and no real information was given on how that went, other than there were tests done to see that. But basically, they are saying they're not aware of anything that can move like this. There have been some reports that facilities housing strategic nuclear forces have been affected by the UAP phenomenon. A member of Congress brought up one incident that occurred at Mountstrom Air Force Base where 10 nuclear ICBMs were rendered inoperable. At the same time that this was happening, there was a glowing red light observed above the Air Force Base. And apparently the UAP task force has not done an official assessment on this incident yet. However, they are aware of the reports, and one of the members of Congress asked them to look into that particular situation. Of course, there has been a correlation between UFOs and nuclear silos and nuclear weapons for many years now, and many high-profile and high-ranked former members of the military have gone on the record, as well as some still associated with the military, regarding that phenomenon, which is, no matter how you want to say it, it is scary when, if it is true that whatever this object was hovering above this Air Force base were able to make 10 nuclear ICBMs inoperable for a period of time. That's pretty scary technology. There have been no attempts to communicate with these objects from the information the UAP task force has. So apparently we have made no attempts to communicate with the UFOs. Many of them appear to be unmanned, Apparently, we have not fired anything on them, according to what the UAP task force is aware of. They did discuss in this there needs to be more communication with different levels of government, and more disclosure between levels regarding what each level of government knows about this phenomenon. And there's also was a private hearing. The one that I watched was the public one. It was about an hour and a half. There was a private one that also happened on Tuesday afternoon of the 17th of May, where obviously more confidential stuff that was discussed that you wouldn't want to say publicly for national security reasons. The UAP task force has no wreckage, apparently. They are not going to answer public whether they have anything monitoring these things undersea, as we know that most of these objects are transmedian, which means they can operate underwater, in the air, and outside of our atmosphere. Again, they also discussed they want to do more information sharing with different levels of government. And of course, more was discussed in the closed hearing. The Pentagon has confirmed that there is 11 identified videos that do contain legitimate UAPs. So there's at least 11 videos of these objects confirmed that the Pentagon has no idea what they are. No Navy pilots testified at this hearing. According to even some congressmen that I watched on various news reports about this hearing, there did seem to be information withheld. One congressman from Tennessee was discussing with another reporter that there's pretty much three possibilities. It's American technology, it's Chinese or Russian technology, but they say it's unlikely, because if the Chinese or Russians had this kind of technology, they would have already overtaken us. Or it could be technology from out of this world. So that's the basic of what happened at the hearing. Mike, Piper's sleeping right now. We'll let her sleep if you can see her, but I'll show you her. She's sleeping. Larry checking in. Big Fish watched it. Polar Bear, well, you can't say that no aliens are a threat, because you don't know how many alien races exist out there in this massive universe, when on planet Earth, not every country even has the same intentions. So you can't say that absolutely nothing is ever going to be a threat to us from anywhere else in the universe, just because there hasn't been a reported threat. You can't say they're not a threat when allegedly nuclear bombs have been disabled for a period of time. There have been, according to reports, people burnt, people suffered radiation from contact with these things. Now there have been abduction incidents that have been very traumatic, and again, I don't know how many people are legitimate and how many aren't. This is why people are looking into this, but I wouldn't say that this is something that you shouldn't worry about. Oh, there's stuff flying around, either spying on us, conducting experiments, or who knows what they're doing, breeding us. I don't know, and we just shouldn't care about it. I don't know. If you don't care about it, that's fine, but I'd be interested to know exactly what they are. And I don't necessarily believe these people that say because they communicate telepathically. They claim they have telepathic communications. And according to their telepathic communications, it's all for peace and love. But these things won't just show themselves. Or like the person I interviewed last night that claims she's been visited so many times and taken aboard ships and stuff. Yet all she has is a handful of different cell phone videos that are interesting, but overall you would think she would be able to have better evidence, or she would try to find better evidence to make her story more legit. Now, again, I just interviewed her. I'm not going to make a judgment on her. I was happy. I found some stuff about her interview interesting, but I wouldn't just take her word for it. I'd listen to a lot of people. This happened a lot in the 80s, yeah. And don't forget, I did talk to Paul Hellyer, which could have been his last interview, former Canadian Minister of National Defense, that said they were real. And he had a different take on it again, though, which Paul Hellyer, although he said they were real, he was talking about, and keep in mind, he was in his 90s when I interviewed him, that they're here to warn us about the environment and so forth. But why aren't they making themselves more known? If they're so concerned about the environment, why are they not actually making themselves known and telling people that actually can do something about it? Or if they are and it's all being hidden, who knows? But at least there's more credibility now that we've had the first hearing in 50 years. So we'll see. And yes, I have seen They Live. It's a good movie, but who knows? This is interesting stuff to research, though. And our piece says it's a work. Well, I research UFOs every single day, and there's very compelling evidence, and the government even says they exist. So there's something out there. There 100% is something out there. What it is exactly, maybe the government knows, maybe they don't. But more information is coming out to the public, and they're taking reports more seriously. It's not as much of a laughing matter as it once was. So I think that's a good thing. So watch it. It's posted online. Search the U.S. Congressional UFO hearings if you want to watch the full thing. Have a great night.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at The Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos. And while you're at